In the middle of the Karoo, on Route 62, is a small roadside shop. For years it battled to trade, as nobody would stop on this long straight. And then, as legend has it, the owner decided to come up with a clever name, and he titled it Ronnie's Sex Shop. Immediately, business improved. Simply the name was a reason for people to stop, particularly in the old South Africa with censorship and all sorts of moral weights around sexuality. And so today, Ronnie's Sex Shop is a popular stop for bikers and travelers, and to go inside and see all the autographed bras that are hanging from the roof is to have evidence that sex sells. An ordinary store that didn't attract any custom now is a famous South African tourist spot. Sex is not something you would expect to be discussing on the Wounded Angel Network. Sexuality and spirituality have lived in a tense relationship, as evidenced by the fact that most people who engage in serious spiritual practice across the world's religions, be it Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity, all the great spiritual traditions, if you are going to be serious about spirituality, there is a requirement that as a practitioner you will have to have celibacy as part of your practice. You will have to give up and deny the reality of your own sexual drives, or at least, as those who argue for celibacy would say, transform those energies into a vertical prayer relationship rather than a horizontal physical engagement with another human being. Why? Well, I think early on our forefathers and mothers recognized that sex is a very powerful energy. It is perhaps one of the most primal drives that keeps the continuance of any species going. It is about procreation. It is about giving life, sharing love, making life, giving life. It's only really in the Hindu tantras that the East has managed to keep this very difficult dance going, where sexuality is actually transformed into an energy that is embraced, and lovemaking becomes a meditative exercise. But Tantra takes years of practice, years of integration, and has tremendous disciplines required in it. The West has not been so successful, except every now and then there is a giveaway about this close sexual spiritual connection. You've probably seen the world-famous statue of Saint Teresa of Avila in prayer. In the statue, her face is enraptured as she gazes heavenward. Her mouth is half open, her eyes glazed over, and one's not sure if she's in ecstasy of prayer or if she's having an orgasm. It's that close, the ecstatic reality of intimacy, whether that intimacy is with God or with another human being. Either way, if we are going to take the inner journey of healing and wholeness and integration seriously, we are going to have to deal with our own sexuality. And I'm delighted that I'm alive at a time that sees such a broad spectrum of sexuality being opened up to in the LGBTQA designation of the continuum of sexual orientations, as well as the exploration of different ways of being sexual together. I'm not talking about deviance, and I'm not talking about pornography, and I'm not talking about the dark base, terrible world that fuels things like human trafficking. But I'm talking about the wonderful opportunity we have in our era, where we are deconstructing so many of those old taboos, that we can engage in sexual conversations openly. And we can begin to blossom not only as intellectual beings, but also as physical, embodied beings for which sexuality is an expression. You don't have to stop at Ronnie's sex shop next time you drive by. Maybe you'll never drive by. But it is a wonderful illustration of the fact that when we acknowledge our sexuality, we come alive. Just like this little change of name on the R62 in the middle of the desert leads people to stop again and again out of curiosity and fascination. I'm Peter Woods for the Wounded Angel Network, and just a reminder that if you'd like to engage with me in a Skype or Zoom conversation, you can contact me on the email that comes up at the end of this video. Thank you for your attention. I'm going to go inside for a beer.